Hey there, YouTube world. So I've gotten more than one question on my videos about what do I feed these guys, how often do I feed them, and also what kind of supplements do I use um, for both health and the aquarium. So when I was doing my research before I did this whole setup, I was not able to find any actual videos about what people use and what do they feed. So I figured I'd put one out there for everybody. Alright, so for the carnivorous fish in there, this is what my local fish stores carry. I use silver sides. They are the bigger ones. They're about 3 inches long each, so they're pretty good size. Frozen squid. Basically, it looks like they just take them and just dice them up into 1-inch squares. I use cod fillets. I also use whiting fillets. And also what I don't have right now on hand is I use raw table shrimp, still in the shell. Now in the videos I've done, I haven't actually taken the time to do what I always do with them and put supplements in there. But when you've got sharks and rays, it's a really big deal that you need to put an iodine supplement in their food, or else they get goiters, which is basically their thyroid glands are swelling, and it can block off their esophagus and all that kind of stuff. So in essence, they can starve. So what I use are Missouri shark and ray supplements. This one right here I use for the smaller sharks. This one right here I use for the bigger shark. I use them every feeding. It's got directions on how much to feed on the back of it. For everybody else, I feed a variety of things. For my smaller guys, I use the Aquarium Marine Small. Then this tank, I use the large size pellets. I use this in my 90-gallon aquarium. I got a bunch of smaller fish in there that I've got 3 that I'm growing up to put in here eventually. I've got a filary tang, a black spot tang, and a sling jaw wrasse. But they can't make it in here yet, just mostly because of the grouper and the eel at night when it comes out. So they've got to stay in the other tank until they're big enough to make it into the Thunderdome. I also found this one. It's a pretty good one. It's got mysis shrimp in it, and it's what its main thing is. And I also use the veggie sheets. So as far as supplements, this tank, there are some injuries, unfortunately, just where it's an aggressive tank. So what I found that works really well for me are from Brightwell Aquatics. They're safe for all inhabitants. Sharks, rays, all your coral, clams, all that kind of stuff. This one right here, it is good for, ick. It's good for velvet. It's good for a lot of injuries. This right here is a supplement that they recommend you use with it. It's just vitamin C, basically like putting orange juice in your tank. I've used it, I've not used it. I found that my fish will regrow their fins, wounds will heal in like less than half the time than when using this stuff versus when they don't. This is a Brightwell Aquatics Phosphate E, and in this aquarium, when you're just dumping a pound of fish in there at a time, you got a lot of phosphates, and all that food that gets turned into feces, and so the cleanup crew, they do their job, but in the end you end up getting phosphates, which I've got a couple big skimmers in there, but still I like to use this as well to keep my phosphates down to 0 or as close to it as I possibly can. That way you keep your algae down, and you keep all your other red slime, all that kind of stuff down as well. This right here is what I use to keep the alkalinity up. It's from Bulk Reef Supply. You mix it with a gallon of water. I just have a gallon of spring water from the dollar store and with my RODI system, and use it, whenever it starts getting low. You'll notice the pH start going down whenever it starts getting a lot of, whenever the alkalinity starts going down. That's your big telltale sign that you need to add more of this. So when your pH starts staying down below 8. The other thing that I do whenever I'm feeding the sharks is I get one of these guys. Just got off of eBay. Honestly, if you've been through science class in high school, you probably remember one of these. Just target feed the sharks. That way you know that they're getting the supplements, and that way you're not feeding your other fish a bunch of stuff that they don't need. That if they get too much of it, honestly, may hurt them. I couldn't really get any answers from Missouri about what happens if the eels and the grouper, all that kind of stuff. If they eat too much of this, they couldn't really tell them if it's going to be bad for them or not. I will say that silly as it sounds, I did kind of an experiment to see what happens if they don't get the supplement, the sharks. And within a month and a half, the brown-banded bamboo shark, it did get a goiter. So I said, okay, apparently this stuff is not just mumbo jumbo snake oil, and started using it again, and the goiter went away relatively quickly. So definitely need to use a supplement like this. I found this whenever I went to the Orlando Aquarium, and this is what they use for their sharks. I figured it'd be worth it. They're pretty expensive. Both of these are $100 a bottle, but this one right here, I've had it now for a year. It's not even halfway gone. That's with me using it every time I feed. And this one right here, I just got it within the last 3 or 4 months. And I'm only using half a pill at a time. They're big. They're about 1 inch long. So as far as these guys, I feed the pellets. I feed those 2 to 3 times a day. And then the frozen food down here, I give that to the sharks, the eel, and the grouper 1 to 2 times a week. Mainly I go off of how active they are getting. They're coming out during the daytime when they're all nocturnal. They're starting to run, forage around for food. Is the epaulets starting to go after the snails? That's when I know it's time to feed them again. I'm really careful about trying not to feed them too much because I don't want them to get fat and get fatty liver and all that kind of good stuff. Also, that guy right back there in the back, the grouper, he gets a really big jerk when he's getting hungry. So that's why I end up feeding as well. That's about it, guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them down there, and I'll see you guys soon.